not least, we are going to discuss streamer Plaqueboymax. Plaqueboymax, who is saying that working a 9 to 5 is easier than being a streamer. He claims that the emotional turmoil that streamers endure is what is a key differentiator that makes what he does harder than working a 9 to 5. I actually saw this um, previously, and it got a little bit of traction, but it's getting a lot more traction now because now other content creators are responding to what he had to say. But apparently, this guy here, Plaqueboymax, he's a huge streamer on Twitch and YouTube, apparently. And he sparked an internet debate because he lamented being a streamer, suggesting that working a 9 to 5 is not as hard as being a streamer. So this says Plaqueboymax sparks backlash, claiming streaming is harder than 9 to 5 jobs. Prominent Phase member Plaqueboymax has sparked an internet-wide debate after claiming that streaming is in some ways harder than normal 9 to 5 jobs. While he isn't the first to make this assertion, Plaqueboymax is the latest influencer to come under fire after commenting on the subject during a November 4th broadcast. Being a streamer or any face on the internet is harder than a 9 to 5 in certain ways because it F's you up mentally. Now, waking up every day and going to a job and lifting boxes, depending on what you're doing, that shit's tough too. But being a face, being a top streamer is difficult because of all the shit you go through in terms of living life. I promise, I'm telling you, gang, you are literally seeing thousands give their thoughts on you every second. No human brain should be able to tolerate that. Although he admitted that each occupation has its own hardships, Plaque feels that the psychological damage that comes from viewers' constant criticisms and comments is a special kind of struggle, but not everyone is sympathetic to his point of view. Viewers and fellow content creators alike have weighed in on his argument, with streamer Chris Raygun writing in a tweet, "Content creation is in fact not as easy as you'd assume, especially if you care, but streaming is specifically the easiest shit ever." Yeah, go to a McDonald's drive-through with your Lamborghini and tell them that your job is harder than theirs. Another commenter wrote. No way someone genuinely believes this. Do these streamers not realize how much freedom they have compared to people who are doing a 9 to 5? However, others have found themselves in agreement with Max's statement, with one user writing, "He's not wrong. If you don't stream consistently, then you die off." To be frank, I think the hours these top streamers do is incredible. I'm absolutely wrecked after streaming for like 3 hours. Overall, though, it seems much of the internet disagrees with Plaqueboymax's take, and he isn't the first to incite such a reaction with a similar statement by far. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I will unshare this, and what I'll do is I will share what he actually said because it is followed up by a response from another streamer. In this case, the streamer who responded to him, his name is Duke Dennis. Duke Dennis is another popular YouTuber slash Twitch person. So the first minute of this is Plaqueboymax giving his thoughts on how streaming is harder than working a job, and then that is immediately followed up by Duke Dennis, who disagrees with what Plaqueboymax had to say.
That's what I'm saying. Being like a streamer or any face on the internet is harder than a 9 to 5 in certain ways because it fuck you up mentally. Now, waking up every day and go to a job and lifting boxes, like depending on what you're doing, that's just tough too. That shit is hard. That shit is very hard. That shit is very hard. It's very hard. Like, you feel me? Especially when you're doing a job you don't enjoy doing. That shit is tough. That shit will fuck with your mental. You might want to, you feel me? You might be tired of it. You might be unhappy. But being a face, like being a top streamer, is difficult because of all the shit you go through in terms of like living life. I promise. I'm telling you, gang. You are literally seeing thousands of niggas give their thoughts on you every second. That's not supposed to be. Like, no human brain normally should be able to tolerate that. Just keeping it up. It's not true. You feel me? Facts. I'm telling the truth. Most of y'all cannot.
Streaming is not harder than a 9 to 5. Streaming is a hobby that you looked up and you made it your career. Making content is a hobby. Being a content creator is a hobby. Something you do on your fucking free time. If you work hard enough at it, like Kai said, turn into a career, congratulations. But bro, never compare having to get up and go to work when somebody else say so, get off work when somebody else say so. You gotta ask somebody else if you can relax. Hey, boss, I don't feel good. Can I have the day off? No, I still gotta come in. Okay, bet. And you gotta go to work, or else you're broke. Or else you broke. With streaming, never compare that shit, bro. That's why I be dead ass super grateful. I be telling y'all I appreciate y'all a lot with real fucking life.
So that's Duke Dennis's response to what Plaqueboy had to say. So clearly there's a dichotomy here. Streaming versus working, and which is harder than the other. But Plaqueboy certainly made a case that streaming is harder, and he cites the emotional toll as the reason why it's harder. So where do you stand on this one? Like, how do you see this one?
I can see both sides of the argument for sure, and this is coming from a 9-to-5er. We stream, but you know what I'm saying? We stream for the love of the game. And it is work though. Okay, it is work.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, it's chill and stuff, and I'm kicking it with my homeboy. And all of our homegirls and homeboys out there that's watching and leaving comments and stuff. So that's chill too, you know. And it's not when I'm on the clock actually working. You know what I'm saying? I can dress how I want. I can just chill, man, and do my thing. So this is a job that at the same time it's kind of not. But when I'm on the clock, and I've had jobs before, bro, and I gotta go there whether I like it or not. You know what I'm saying? Life or death depends on it. All right. And I'm taking all kinds of slander, all kinds of rigmarole from anybody. I don't like it. And that is a stressor all in itself. But the reason why I can see why this Plaque guy can feel how he feels is because when that is your life, and you can go live whenever you want, but you better go live.
Right. Yeah.
And like how somebody mentioned that the hours that these guys go, man, some of these guys be streaming all day. And yeah, it's kind of like whatever, but it's literally like you're doing it all day. I can relate it to like doing Uber or Lyft or something like that, Instacart or whatever. And you're your own boss and you can work whatever you want. But if you don't go out there and work, you're not going to get anything. And there's a stress with, hey, I can chill today, but if I keep chilling like this, I ain't going to have no money. So I got to get up out there and I got to hustle and I got to do this thing. Like it's its own type of thing. So it's its own world, but the kinds of money that these dudes make by sitting down and playing video games for 4 hours and talking BS with anybody, it pales in comparison to the types of money that people make actually working that hard 9 to 5. So yeah, it has its own struggles, and I can see how they could try to, quantify that, but it is apples and oranges in this of struggle. They have their own struggles, but it's two different components. And I would argue that the actual 9 to 5, master cracking his whip on your back, that is really stressful. But what are your thoughts, sir, on the whole premise that streaming is harder than working an actual 9 to 5? You agree with that, sir?
This to me is pretty simple. Ask him if he had the chance, would he switch and become a 9 to 5? I guarantee you he'll say no.
Yeah.
But, hey, Plaqueboymax, I'll work a 9 to 5, bro. Let's switch. Let's switch.
Right.
If you wouldn't switch with me, it's an indication of what you can see as well as me in terms of which one is, hard. That's a tricky word, but like
Mhm.
which one is more fruitful. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Um, yeah. So I don't want to hear all of that. But here, so I'm not going to totally dismiss him because, like you, I hear where he's coming from in that one must account for the mental toll that any form of, what you do for a living can have on an individual.
Mhm.
One must take that into account. There appears to be two different ways with which you can look at this: mental and physical stress, right? And it's like, which one is weighted higher? If you're doing something and you're experiencing more mental stress, does that make it harder? Or if you're doing something and you're experiencing more physical stress, does that make it harder? And it's basically based on your perspective. Like, certain people have different tolerance levels for stuff. Like, you might have a person who has a higher tolerance for physical exertion because maybe they're in really good shape, or they're used to strenuous physical activity. So if they work a 9 to 5, which requires them to do a lot of physical strenuous work, it's not quote unquote hard because they're just kind of built for it. Whereas a person who's doing that same line of work, but they don't have that same physical aptitude, might find it a lot more stressful and a
Mhm.
lot harder to do because they don't have the same kind of physical aptitude. Conversely, let's say a person who's used to doing the manual labor thing, used to doing being a physical 9 to 5er, and they're having to sit at a desk all day,
Mhm.
and you're not as active, and you're sitting around pretending to be busy because you have to make it seem as though you're occupying this 9-hour day with all this work, even though you really only have enough work for about maybe 2 hours a day, which is a conversation for another day in terms of the sham that the modern American work system is. But I digress. So a person who's used to physical exertion and physical output and being on the go and activity, putting them in a situation where they have to be more mentally tough because they're sitting at a desk, or they're in a cubicle, or they're having to do more brainy things, they might find that situation to be harder than the person who is used to doing that kind of thing but doesn't have the physical aptitude that they have.
Mhm.
So it's all based upon your unique makeup and what you're accustomed to, which will likely determine your perspective. But if you ask me, in my opinion, I think that what he is saying is, I disagree. I disagree with it. Um, I think you have to take all things into account. And the best way that I can do is I can personalize it. So I have mentioned many times before on this channel, I used to be a cook at a franchise best barbecue restaurant. I did this work for over 10 years. I experienced times where I sprained my ankle bad. There was one particular time where I had a high ankle sprain,
Mm.
and not only could I not get out of work because I sprained my ankle the day before I had to report to my next shift. So if I don't show up, if I can't work, I would either have to just not show up, which would be a reprimand. I'd get written up for not
Mhm.
showing up. That's a
Mhm.
no show, which is a fireable offense,
Oh boy, I remember that.
right? Or or I would have to find someone to cover the shift for me, which was damn near impossible because nobody ever wanted to work or pick up anybody's shift.
Yep.
So my only recourse was to come into work and work with a compromised high ankle sprain. And it was one of the worst experiences of my life, having to be on my foot for 9+ hours, constantly moving back and forth, cooking in this hot ass kitchen. And I needed the paycheck. I needed the work. I couldn't take off. I didn't want to lose the job by not coming in, so I had to show up. Plaqueboymax would never have to deal with that. If Plaqueboymax has a high ankle sprain, you can still stream, bro. Plaqueboymax has a high ankle sprain. Ain't nobody saying you need to find somebody to cover for you on this stream. No, you can still do it. And even if you did want to rest, it's your channel, it's your business. So you can just reschedule the stream for another day. There's no reprimand for that. A person who works a 9 to 5 does not have that luxury.
Agreed.
Another time, same job. I was playing basketball. Somehow, some way, I'm playing defense, and it was the weirdest angle in the world. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before. But I reached my hand in trying to play defense and steal the ball, and my hand hit the ball at this weird, awkward angle, and I felt this sharp pain. At first, I ignored it. I thought maybe I jammed my finger or something. I went downstairs. I tried to work out, and I literally couldn't hold the bar. It was so painful. The next day I woke up, my whole thumb was blue.
Oh
I
shit.
ended up going to an orthopedist and I tore a ligament in my thumb.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So he had to wrap my hand in a splint. The dude told me, yeah, you're not going to be doing anything for a couple weeks because I need to put this in a splint so that you can't use it to reduce the swelling. And on top of that, we need to schedule you for an MRI to see the extent of the ligament damage. Problem with this is I tore my thumb on a Thursday night. Guess who had to go to work at his cooking shift in 2 days on Saturday?
Bro, we were living together when that happened, right?
No, I was at Capitol Walk at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This was like 2015, 2016.
Okay.
So I had this big splint on my arm, and here we go again. Working class 9 to 5 guy. I need every paycheck I can get. I'm working paycheck to paycheck. I'm not a streamer. I don't run a business. I can't just depend on Patreon donations and people paying me on Cash App because I stream. I know that if I tear a ligament in my thumb and I'm wearing a splint, I can still stream. I can still grip a joystick even with my compromised hand. I can still grip the joystick with a splint on my arm and still play. But you know what I can't do with a splint on my arm? I can't operate a slicing machine. I can't lift heavy 40-pound boxes of frozen pulled pork. I couldn't even lift a fry basket. It was so painful. I couldn't even do it. I had to report to work in 2 days. So here we go again. I need the work. I need the money because I'm paycheck to paycheck. Got to pay the bills. So do I not show up on account of me being one-handed? Do I try to find somebody to cover my shift? Tried that. Ain't nobody going to pick my shift up. No one wants to work. So I'm left with having to show up compromised. And what I ended up doing was literally taking my splint off and working with my hand in pain.
Oh, no.
I couldn't do it. I literally was useless without my hand. You cannot work that job without both your hands.
And they still put you in that situation?
Them people don't, them management don't give a damn, bruh. So I'm in there working one-handed. I had to. I went a week later, got my MRI. They told me I tore a ligament in my thumb. They recommended surgery. Thank God I turned it down because my dad at the time, he was advising me on it. He was like, listen, I already know what's going to happen to you. When you get the MRI and you find out the extent of the damage, they're going to recommend you to a surgeon who's going to recommend surgery. Mm-hmm. In my advice, don't get the surgery. Your body is meant to heal on its own. Just sit down. I know I know you want to hoop and lift, and it's going to be painful because you want to be in the gym, but just relax for a couple months, let it heal up, and eventually you'll see the pain will go away. And sure enough, he was right. I showed up to the doctor. He was like, yeah, you got extensive damage here on your thumb. You're going to need that surgery. And I went home and I decided I'm going to just rest. I took about 2-3 months off, and my hand is 100%. Never experienced any pain anymore after that. My point is, Plaqueboymax, Mr. Streamer guy, you tear a ligament in your thumb, bro, you're still streaming. And no one's telling you still need to come to work. So I hear what he's saying because I'm not going to dismiss the mental toll of streaming, but it's also about weighing the pros and cons of everything. Like, you need to have a balanced perspective in life. Yes, what that is difficult, but to make a statement like that, to me, is lacking in self-awareness, which appears to be a theme for tonight's stream.
Or lacking working a real job ever.
Ever, right. Or you've never been in a situation where you've had to work.
Yeah.
Which likely is probably both. No self-awareness, and he ain't never worked before. But the thing is, bro, clearly you haven't been in a situation in which you've had to make that kind of choice. High ankle sprain, still got to work. Tore ligament in my thumb, I'm one-handed, splint on my hand, still got to work. That's what laborers go through. As a streamer, you don't have to deal with that. You're not a laborer. And a lot of people who work quote unquote 9 to 5, they're laborers.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think balanced perspective is needed. Like, in order for you to say that, you lack perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't respect comments like that. So I just don't agree with that on its face because, bro, I've been in situations where I've had to suck it up and deal with stuff because I need this job. And you're a streamer, Bo. You can have a cast on and be on crutches and still play PS5. You can still do that stuff. You can still play Call of Duty. And again, even if you can't, shut down the stream again in 48 hours when you feel a little better. It's your channel, it's your business. You're still gonna have I don't know how many subscribers he has, but I'm pretty sure it's enough to where you miss a day of streaming, come back stream again, you'll be good.
Yeah, he would. There's a lot of people follow his kid.
Right. So what are we talking about here? Like, it's just lacking in self-awareness and a perspective. And the last thing that I'll say is, because he presented it as what I do is harder because of the mental toll. I don't want to be disrespectful towards the 9 to 5 because of the physical toll, but what I do is harder because of the mental toll. Number one, you're in control of that. Don't look at all the comments, bro. Don't look at every comment. Filter it out. Don't look at people who are criticizing you. Don't look at those comments. Ban certain people if they get disrespectful. You can control some of the aspects of what contributes to your compromised mental status as a streamer. And second of all, you act as though people who work 9 to 5 also don't deal with mental stress. So, like, people who work the 9 to 5, they may be dealing with physical things that are hard as well as mental things that are hard. You don't think that mentally it messed with me knowing that I still had to go to work even though I was one-handed? You don't think mentally it messed with me and gave me mental stress, put me in a state of mental distress to have a general manager basically look at me walking around limping on one foot with a high ankle sprain and not send me home and still make me work that whole shift for 9 hours? Like, 9 to 5ers deal with both. You literally just deal with one of them. So I think you need to count your blessings and be a little more appreciative. And I'm not saying that he is not appreciative, but to make comments like that, to me, they are tone deaf. So he's a young ass dude. I looked him up. He's like a tween. He's like 21, 22. He a jit. So he'll probably figure it out soon enough. But he's not right. These were goofy comments to me. People who work for a living have it much more hard than a person who puts on a headset and plays video games for 4 hours and makes, in some cases, quadruple the money that a hardworking person makes.
Hey, that's fair, man. I'll say this. I'll still say that money aside, because people can say what's worth whatever, but money aside, the amount of hours put in that these guys got to put in, and for the mental aspect of it, the tape is still out on this. This is new stuff. This is a new industry. It's a lot of these dudes, because they're probably just weirdos in the first place, but it's a lot of these dudes get locked up on weird stuff. A lot of these dudes just dirty living conditions. They're great streamers, so they're great at what they do, but they're just dirty people. I would like to say that the tape is still out on this, because these guys are celebrities, but a different kind of celebrity, especially these gaming streamers, I would say, because they're dealing with a lot of kids. And they're dealing with a lot of immaturity and a lot of, there's a lot of weird stuff going on there. And that's a lot of energy that they got to deal with. It's a lot going on with that. And people don't pan out, right? A A lot of those people are alcoholics, academics and alcoholic. And if he ain't lit, he can't stream. What's the long-term effects of that? I think that this stuff is still new. I think what he just gave there was a cry for help, in a sense, not a big cry for help, but a cry of, hey man, y'all may think this is easy, but it takes a lot to do this. And I would say it does take a lot to do what they're doing, even though they're not doing anything, you would say.
Now, I wouldn't even say that. I know that he works hard, but he made the comparison, which is
Right.
hard, right? So
That's all. But that's all he has.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
but he should not have done that, because clearly, as much as he tried to qualify as saying, "Hey, I know it's hard. I know it's hard," but he was just trying to get people into, because he's not a very articulate guy once you see him talk. Okay,
Yeah.
so he tried the best that he could to get people into his world and let people know that this ain't as sweet as you think it is. And Duke is a little bit older, so he has a perspective. He sounds like he clearly worked a job before.
Mhm.
So he had a different perspective and he sees it differently, which is good and a lot more refreshing. But I would still say the tape is out on all of this stuff to see how these people pan out as humans. Because if these people end up being weird alcoholics, drug addicts, and stuff like that, maybe this stuff ain't as good for the psychology as people think. Now, this is for those gaming streamers who are dealing with a particular type of energy set. If you're streaming, hell, even if you're streaming other things, if you're streaming stock market stuff, those people talk like they got Adderall in their system or something else. So this is a different type of industry field that requires a different kind of energy set, and you're taking on a lot of energies constantly. So there is something to what he's saying in a degree, money aside, because once these people lose it for real, the money ain't gonna help them once they crack. So yeah, I would say that he tried the best he could to try to articulate a point, but when you actually talk about the average everyday working day man who's got to deal with crap from his boss and stuff like that, and he clearly hasn't worked like that, or if he did, never, not long enough to know that coming out your mouth like that opens you up for certain levels of scrutiny. But I would say that the jury is still out on this industry, and it needs to be seen how this actually works in the long run, how these people actually pan out as humans. Because quite frankly, most of the stuff that I see on these streamers, they aren't all the way there. So
Well, I mean, a lot of these streamers act like some of the younger kids in my family. To be honest with you, I think it's generational. Like a lot of these people are kids. Like he's a kid.
yeah, he's
That's how these people are. Like they get on. I remember when I did do online gaming, way back in the Xbox 360 days when I used to play Call of Duty online, and them kids used to be saying they talk just like him. That's how they sound.
Dead ass.
That's how that's how they sound. So I just think he's a child,
Yeah.
In a child space. I think he's right around his demographic. Like he's with his contemporaries. He's like 21 years old.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying though. It is a new thing, and we will have to observe this over time to better classify what we are dealing with. It's no different, in my opinion, than the normalization of sex working.
Yeah.
We will see in about the next, I would say, 10 to 15 years
Yeah.
what the long-term ramifications of that are. Because right now, even though it's been going on for a while, I would say we are still in the beginning phases of this societal thing of sex working just being like a job. Where it's like, oh yeah, I stream and I do OnlyFans and I bust it wide open and I have sex with it. Right? Like before, that used to be a niche thing that women did just because, but it was like to be seen, to be heard, not necessarily, but not to be seen and heard, but not necessarily replicated on a mass scale. But now it's something that more and more women mainly are getting into because the stigma around it is being eradicated. So it's just like, oh, just be an OnlyFans model or just do this or do that and be a sex worker. And it's just like normalized. So that I feel that's like a sister to me to this thing with these streamers, with these guys who do this streaming stuff, this Twitch stuff. So I hear that, and we'll see. long-term ramifications of that over several years. So that is an interesting take on that. I can't take that away from you. But at the end of the day, he'll learn. That's why I can't really kill him, because when I was 21, I might say dumb stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
He's 21 years old, and so he probably thinks that what he's doing is hard work.
Right.
But he has nothing, he has no reference point with which to juxtapose that point of view. So it just comes off sounding tone deaf. And hopefully as he gets older, he'll learn that there's less green pastures, and he is certainly on a much greener pasture than he could otherwise be on.
Yeah, man.
So, hopefully he'll figure that out. But clearly, as someone who has worked for a living his entire life, I can't get down with anything that he said. but I will also not take anything away from his point about the mental, the mental commitment that it takes to do that. Because I get it. I mean, there's times when I don't really feel up to doing what we do here, and I still do it. But things can be exhausting, and it is work. That's why I tried to preface my initial comments by saying I'm not saying what he's doing is not work, but it's still tone deaf at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and it only presents one particular perspective. So
sure.
I think if he found himself at a point where maybe streaming is very much like, Netflix and Hulu, Disney Plus, where it reached an apex during the pandemic. And once people were able to go outside, less people were on it. And so now these companies are laying people off because the revenue ain't the same, because the zenith is over. And maybe the zenith for streaming will end at some point, and people like him are going to have to pick up some hard skills and contribute to society. Then at that point, he'll gain a different perspective. But for now, he just sounds a little goofy. I mean, he sounds like a kid. That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Shouts out to our buddy here. What's his name? What's his name?
Plaqueboy.
Plaqueboy. I forgot his name that fast. Plaqueboymax. Plaqueboymax. Good luck, bro. I hope that streaming continues in earnest for you, man, because I don't want to take nothing away from you.
Stay strong, bro.
Yeah. Good luck. But that'll do it for us, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Conscious Approach community. We're going to go ahead and close things out for today. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, my name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. As we like to do each and every week, each and every video, kick this logical content. Let us know what you think we went right or wrong in any of these topics or videos. Leave a comment. We love to hear from you. Check us out on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. I am also on Instagram at JV Wins. Shouts out to everybody biting their nails in eager anticipation for this goofy election to finally be over, so that we can get back to the business of living. As I always like to say, think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. The Heat not looking real good right now. You're pissing me off. Can't win a game at home, but I also expected it. So by proxy, I guess it's not a good year for me, man.
It's all good, bro.
Not a good year for me, man. But I'll leave the sports celebrating to you. You have a lot more to celebrate than I do. But until next time, everybody, stay up, think for yourself. I'm out.
And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube, TikTok, DraftKings, all right, Underdog, any damn thing at Dogon_SS. Holla at me. Send me a follow and I'll follow back. Indeed. And as I say on every pod, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it real. And don't let anybody get you off the pivot. All right. So until the next time, everybody, we greatly appreciate y'all liking, subscribing, leaving them comments, sending it to people that you knows. All right. Going through the catalog and watching all the old stuff. Greatly appreciate y'all. So until the next time, everyone, more rings and Robert Orton. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
That's right. We are out. Shouts out to everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the next video.
Okay. Can't work for husband. Let's go. Let's go. Okay.